In the early 12th century, the Khmer Empire reached the zenith of its power under the ambitious vision of King Suryavarman II, a monarch who sought to immortalize his reign by bridging the gap between the earthly and the divine. Unlike his predecessors, who typically dedicated their state temples to Shiva, Suryavarman II broke tradition by consecrating his masterpiece to Vishnu, the protector. This monumental project, which we now know as Angkor Wat, was conceived not merely as a place of worship, but as a physical representation of Mount Meru, the golden mountain at the center of the universe in Hindu cosmology. To transform this celestial vision into stone, an estimated 300,000 laborers and 6,000 elephants were mobilized, beginning a construction process that would span over 30 years. The site chosen was a vast floodplain where engineers first had to master the element of water. They dug a massive moat, over 200 meters wide and 5 kilometers in perimeter, which served both as a symbolic cosmic ocean and a structural stabilizer to keep the temple from sinking into the soft earth. The stone used for this colossal structure, millions of tons of sandstone, was not found locally but had to be quarried from the sacred Kulin Mountains, located some 40 kilometers away. In a feat of ancient logistics that still baffles modern engineers, the heavy blocks were transported down the river on rafts and through a network of man-made canals specifically designed for the project. Once the stones arrived at the site, they were fitted together with such precision that the joints were nearly invisible, often held together by weight and friction rather than mortar. As the 5 central towers began to rise, resembling the budding petals of a lotus flower, thousands of skilled artisans descended upon the galleries. They spent decades carving nearly 600,000 square meters of intricate bas-reliefs depicting scenes from the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the legendary churning of the ocean of milk. These carvings were not just art, they were a narrative of the king's power and his relationship with the gods, ensuring that his legacy would be etched into the very fabric of the earth. The architecture was also a masterpiece of astronomical alignment. The temple was built to face west, the direction of Vishnu, and was perfectly synchronized with the solar calendar, so that on the day of the spring equinox, the sun rises exactly over the tip of the central tower. This temple mountain stood as a testament to Khmer ingenuity, blending mathematics, art, and spirituality into a single harmonious form. However, Suryavarman II did not live to see the final completion of his dream, and upon his death, the temple likely served as his funerary monument, a place where his soul could unite with Vishnu for eternity. In the centuries that followed, as the empire shifted from Hinduism to Buddhism, the temple evolved, with statues of the Buddha eventually populating the halls once occupied by Hindu deities. Though the jungle eventually crept toward its walls and the capital moved away, Angkor Wat was never truly abandoned. It remained a living site of pilgrimage, standing through the rise and fall of dynasties as the soul of the Khmer people and the greatest stone monument ever built by human hands. While the temple of Angkor Wat stood as the spiritual heart of the empire, it was supported by an urban infrastructure so advanced that it made Angkor the largest pre-industrial city in the world. To sustain the hundreds of thousands of people living within the vicinity, the Khmer engineers designed a hydraulic system of unparalleled complexity. They constructed massive reservoirs known as barays, the largest being the West Baray, which held over 50 million cubic meters of water. This intricate web of canals and dikes allowed the Khmer to bypass the limitations of the seasons, storing monsoon rains to irrigate rice paddies during the scorching dry months. This hydraulic city provided the wealth and food security necessary to fund the endless artistic and architectural pursuits of the monarchy. Life around Angkor Wat was a bustling tapestry of vibrant markets, floating villages on the Tonle Sap, and grand festivals where the king would emerge from his palace on a golden palanquin, flanked by thousands of soldiers and court dancers, embodying the living presence of a god on earth. However, the grandeur of the Angkorian era began to face immense pressure by the 14th and 15th centuries. A combination of factors, shifting trade routes, the rise of the neighboring Ayutthaya kingdom, and most critically, a period of devastating climatic instability, began to weaken the empire's foundation. Prolonged droughts followed by catastrophic monsoon floods overwhelmed the delicate canal systems, causing the city's lifeblood to silt up and fail. By 1431, after the sack of the capital by Siamese forces, the Khmer court made the strategic decision to migrate south toward the confluence of the rivers at Phnom Penh. As the elite moved away, the vast wooden palaces and homes of the common people eventually decayed and vanished into the earth. Yet Angkor Wat was never truly abandoned to the jungle. Unlike the surrounding wooden city, the stone temple remained an active site of worship. Theravada Buddhist monks took up residence within its galleries, maintaining the structures and ensuring that the temple's sacred flame was never fully extinguished, even as the forest began to drape its green canopy over the outer walls. In the mid-19th century, the Western world rediscovered the site through the vivid journals of French explorer Henri Mouhot, who famously wrote that Angkor Wat was grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. While Mouhot's writings brought global fame to the site, for the Khmer people, Angkor Wat had always remained a symbol of their glorious ancestry and national identity. Throughout the 20th century, the temple survived the ravages of colonization, the horrors of the Civil War, and the neglect of the Khmer Rouge era, standing resilient as a silent witness to the resilience of the Cambodian spirit. Today, as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it attracts millions of visitors who come to marvel at the sheer scale of human ambition. It is the only national flag in the world to feature a building, a testament to the fact that Angkor Wat is more than just a temple. It is the eternal soul of Cambodia, a bridge connecting the modern world to a celestial past that continues to inspire wonder and awe. Beyond its staggering scale and hydraulic ingenuity, the true soul of Angkor Wat lies in the silent stories etched into its very skin. To walk through the 4 kilometers of bas-reliefs that line the outer galleries is to read a library of stone, the most extensive narrative carvings in the world. These are not merely decorative elements, they are a sophisticated fusion of history and mythology. In the southern gallery, one finds the Gallery of the King, where Suryavarman II is depicted in life-size detail, sitting atop his royal elephant, surrounded by his generals and the common soldiers of his army. This provides us with an invaluable historical record of 12th century life, showing everything from the weapons used in battle to the intricate patterns of the silk robes worn by the nobility. However, as one moves toward the East Gallery, the history fades into the cosmic. Here, the famous churning of the ocean of milk stretches across 50 meters of wall, depicting 88 gods and 92 demons pulling the great serpent Vasuki to extract the nectar of immortality. This carving serves as a metaphor for the king's own quest for divinity, suggesting that through his labor and devotion, he too had secured a place among the immortals. Perhaps the most enchanting residents of Angkor Wat are the nearly 2,000 apsaras, or celestial dancers, that adorn the walls and pillars. No 2 apsaras are identical. Each possesses a unique hairstyle, jewelry, and expression, leading some historians to believe they were modeled after actual women of the 12th century royal court. These carvings represent the bridge between the human and the divine, believed to be the messengers who carry the prayers of the people to the heavens. The mathematical precision of these placements is no accident. Modern researchers have discovered that the temple's measurements are coded with sacred numbers and astronomical cycles. The distance between certain points in the temple corresponds to the durations of the 4 yugas, or eras, of Hindu cosmology, effectively turning the temple into a massive stone clock that measures the passage of time across the universe. It is a monument built with the understanding that stone would outlast flesh, and that through geometry, a king could speak to the generations of the distant future. Today, Angkor Wat has moved beyond its role as a funerary monument or a royal chapel to become a global symbol of human resilience and artistic perfection. It survives not just as a ruin, but as a living site of pilgrimage. On any given morning, the smell of incense still mingles with the mist, and the sound of Buddhist chanting echoes through halls that once heard the Sanskrit prayers of Hindu priests. The international community, through organizations like ICC Angkor, works alongside Cambodian experts to heal the stone cancer caused by centuries of tropical humidity and to stabilize the foundations. As the sun rises each year over the central tower during the equinox, it reminds the world of a civilization that looked at the stars and dared to replicate their order on Earth. Angkor Wat remains the heartbeat of Cambodia, a testament to the fact that while empires may crumble and jungles may grow, the human thirst for the divine and the beautiful is truly eternal.